Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wednesday Show. I'm your host, J.R. Swift, and the title of this week's show is This Week in Vegas, Tips and Tricks, History. It's all about history today, and we're going to start out with another little miniature field trip today. This is just going to be a few minutes long. As many of you know, I live in Lawrence, Kansas, right smack dab in the middle of the country. And there's a lot of history associated with Lawrence, Kansas, and we'll be talking about that over the next several weeks, months. We won't do these little history spots or road trips or field trips every week, but we'll do them from time to time. I'm going to go ahead and throw a little map up on the screen, and it is the map of the Oregon Trail. And the Oregon Trail is outlined in the sort of red-orange markings that you see on the map. As you can see, there's a couple little branches, and we're going to switch back to showing you part of one of those branches. This is Louisiana Street. It runs just east of my apartment complex, and if you remember on the map, it was the path that ran north and south that you saw. One of the ways that the various travelers on the Oregon, and that's also the California Trail, made their way across Kansas. So pretty cool. You remember we walked along this street extensively a few months ago when we did our walk around the neighborhood. So again, if you remember the map, there's a couple of different branches of the Oregon Trail that intersect about 1.5 miles from here. So we're going to go check that out, and we'll also check out where the trail passed over the KU campus. Coming up soon. So we're here now at the intersection of Louisiana Street, and this is 19th Street. And this is where the two branches, if you will, of the Oregon Trail as it went through Lawrence kind of came together. That's the Lawrence High School right there. Of course, when it was built, it was in the middle of nowhere. Not so much now. There's a laundromat and some sort of personal dwellings, and then a little park back here. Not sure what this little thing says. Probably nothing. I think it's a sundial of some sort. So if you can read sundials, maybe you can tell what time it is. But anyway, like I said, the two branches of the trail came together here, and then it headed off in this direction, up the hills into the Lawrence campus. And we're gonna go check a little spot on campus that'll show you where it traveled. Okay, so we're on the University of Kansas campus. You're looking down Jayhawk Boulevard. And I'm planning to do a walkthrough sometime on the campus itself. I think that'd be pretty interesting. But, of course, this is not that video. But it's a historic marker that I wanted to show you here. This is the entrance to the main campus. That's what's called the Chi Omega Fountain. It's because that's the Chi Omega sorority. Much shenanigans have occurred at the Chi Omega Fountain over the years. I have not been a part of any of it, but as you might imagine, such things are common, or at least were common back in the day. But as I mentioned, the path of the Oregon Trail came right up over the hills here. As you can see, there are numerous hills here in Lawrence. And here is a marker that commemorates it. It says Oregon Trail Memorial. Beginning in 1849, they're plotted up the southern slope of Mount Oriat, a vast immigration bound for the golden land of California. One branch of the Great California and Oregon Trail thus passed over the very ground now part of the university campus, and many a campfire gleamed on summer nights from the crest where now throngs of students tread. That plaque was and monument was put up at 1916, and it does sound a bit old-timey in terms of its description. But again, so the Oregon Trail coming through here, continuing up north and west through Lawrence and along west to Topeka and much beyond. So there you go. Anyway, that's our little field trip / history lesson for today, and hope you enjoyed it. Now we have a very special tip from our friend PJ back in the studios. So we're going to swing it back over to him, and today's topic is very valuable, so you're going to definitely want to tune in for this one. Back soon with more Vegas tips and tricks history on the Wednesday Show.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday Show. Cocktail tip of the day. Wait, that says cocktail tip of the week. We're doing the tip of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, there was something we used to do before bottled water. Come with me, and I'm going to show you exactly what that is. Back in the day, we used to drink tap water. Let me show you how it worked. Tap water, ladies and gentlemen. And on those really hot days, we'd have it on the rocks. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching another tip on the Wednesday Show. John, back to you.
Okay, PJ, I gotta go along with you there. I still drink water out of a tap. I don't know, whoever figured out how to sell people water in a bottle, somebody made some money off of that. Anyway, appreciate that little tongue-in-cheek cocktail tip today. Also, before I get started on the conclusion of today's show, I did want to thank everybody who tuned in for the 20,000 member Facebook group celebration that was hosted by my friends Tamara and Gord, Vegas Best Ideas. It was an interesting live stream. Yeah, we'll just stay that way, okay? It was named by Vegas Visual the live stream of the day for Saturday. Hey, we'll take what we can get, but we're actually pushing close to 22,000 members. I don't know when we'll do the next celebration video, but I think we'll wait for maybe 30,000 or something like that. But it's great to have so many people interested, and the group is very, very active, so we appreciate that. Okay, we didn't have a Vegas Weekly, obviously, last weekend. For that reason, we will do that again this Saturday. We'll be back for the regular show. We'll have like 2 or 3 weeks worth of news, and we'll talk about that, as well as continue our series of classic Vegas tips. Okay, so the reason I called this week's show This Week in Vegas Tips and Tricks History is because it is a new segment. We keep introducing new segments, and quite frankly, that's what I'm hoping to do with the Wednesday Show. We've had, taste tests, we've had, walkabouts, we've had field trips, and, obviously we have our cocktail tips and different things that we've done on the show. And I just want kind of a grab bag of different segments that I can just pull from on a weekly basis, depending upon my mood. And this week, we're going to premiere This Week in Vegas Tips and Tricks History. This week, we're now, see, as you see this, I believe it's June the 9th. As I'm recording it, it's June the 8th. So what we're going to do is, if I have been in Las Vegas at any time during the past 25 odd years, during the week we're talking about, I'm going to talk a little bit about that trip. And it turns out that indeed, just 2 years ago, I traveled out to Las Vegas. I got there on June the 7th, and flew home the morning of June the 12th. I'm going to post a link. That was the Vegas 42 vlog. So I'll post a link. I think I can post a link to the actual playlist that I actually didn't put together until yesterday. I never made a playlist for it. It was a vlog that I did at home after I had returned back, so it was not a live vlog. There was quite a bit of slot play. I will say three things about the vlog, having sort of skimmed through it at least. There's altogether too much of me talking, so feel free to fast forward through most of that. As I say, there was a fair amount of slot play, at least on 2 or 3 of the days. You do get to see a fair number of slot bonuses. I seem to have played a great deal on that trip. I think it's the last trip that I went to Las Vegas where I didn't run into anyone or didn't spend any time connecting to fellow Vegas vloggers or fans of the show. So with one exception that I'll talk about here in a few minutes. But I checked in that night, which I believe was a Friday night, the 7th, at Bally's for 5 nights, but I didn't actually sleep there for 5 nights. It was just kind of a base of operations for that period of time. At that time, I was a Diamond member, and the room was comped, so there was no resort fees. So having a place to just sort of park my stuff and then being able to check out another couple of hotels was kind of a fun thing to do. I did that a few times when I didn't have to pay resort fees. It's not so much fun keeping a double room if it's actually costing you 40 or 50 bucks. But so I flew out there. The first night I really stayed up late and played a lot. As I say, I played a lot on this trip, period. I did notice that. Had to stop in for some Barbary dogs. Sadly, may they rest in peace, over at the Cromwell. So that was on the show. The second day, again, a fair amount of gambling, but nothing particularly descript, I would say. The third day was kind of interesting. I went downtown. I had somehow managed to get a single night comped at the Downtown Grand, so that gave me an excuse to go downtown. So I hung out there, played a fair amount at Downtown Grand and elsewhere around downtown. Went to Banger Brewing. It was my second visit there. A big fan of that place, as I'm sure many of you know. So enjoyed that. Went to Pizza Rock, got some meatballs and and a slice. That was great. And went to the show out at the Neon Museum. Shimmer, Glimmer? God, I can't even think what it's called. You can look it up. But they did a show. I don't know if that show has come back, but so that was my first time visiting the Neon Museum. It was an interesting experience. Picked up some nice souvenirs along the way, and came back and worked my way through downtown. Kind of had a good time, but sort of the highlight of the night was late in the evening when I hit 4 aces with a kicker at the Furnace Bar at Downtown Grand. Turned out to be a progressive that paid me over $800. That was a big highlight on, I guess, day 3. That would have been the 9th. The 10th was a cool day because after returning to Bally's and getting my bearings, I then went to spend one night at Aria. And I had just got what I thought was a really impressive offer in terms of the price to stay in what looked like a spectacular room. And it was kind of not a full-fledged Aria suite, but close to it. And so I can't remember. I think I ended up still paying well over $100 a night, but it was one of the best rooms I've ever stayed in Las Vegas. Had the jacuzzi tub or the whirlpool tub, the amazing Toto washlet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I talk about that in the video somewhere. So that was a lot of fun, being able to stay in that room. Again, one of my favorite rooms ever in Las Vegas. And generally enjoyed my time at Aria. and didn't gamble a ton there. Really didn't do that well. Drink service wasn't that great there, so I spent some time at Cosmo, spent some time at Planet Hollywood, and so forth over the next couple of days. My final day in Vegas, I was back spending that at Bally's. Actually went to 2 shows. The first one was called Paranormal. I don't know if that show's coming back at any point, but a really fun show at Bally's. Sort of one of those mind reading shows, which I totally fooled me. Guy freaked me out. Asked me to think of a number between 1 and 100, then told me what it was, and he was right. So I don't know how they do that. It's impressive. So, and then after that, I went to the Anthony Cool's show. Now, no longer a fixture at Paris, but had been there for many, many years. And that was also a pretty entertaining show. I was not hypnotized. I did not go on stage. It was entertaining. And then after that, I met up with a gentleman who had been fairly active in the Facebook group, and I kind of got to know who he was. An Englishman by the name of Colin Waggett. Colin, if you watched the live stream on Saturday, appeared there. And this is the first time that I've actually sort of been face to face, even though it was video, since we hung out at Paris that night for several hours, had several beers and talked about Vegas. So it was a good time. And then I flew home on the 12th. But so yeah, that was my week in Vegas history just 2 years ago, and you can relive it if you'd like by just clicking on the link below. So we'll do that from time to time. This is the first week where it's actually worked out with the show that it corresponded to a time I was in Vegas. Probably be a little more interesting when it's a trip that hasn't already been chronicled. But anyway, hope you'll check it out. And we'll talk more about Vegas history and Vegas tips and tricks history and Kansas history. It'll come up from time to time, but who knows? With the Wednesday show, you're never really sure what you're going to get. But we'll be back here. We're going to do a show next week. I think we're going to do a podcast, but I think we'll do a show anyway next Wednesday. So there we go. We're going to do both. And we'll be back on Saturday with another episode of Vegas Weekly. Until then, I hope that you all have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.